Hi, everybody. It's Jay Myers here, CEO of NGen, and I'm joined today by Gurkaran Chowdhry, who is I think I've got this right, Karen, the Director of Business Development, Product and Business Development at 3D BioFibR. So, Karen, before we get into what 3D BioFibR does, give us a bit of a background on what you've done and how you arrived at 3D BioFibR.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Gurkaran Chowdhry. I go by Karan, and as you mentioned, I'm the Director of Business Development and Operations at 3D BioFibR. I grew up in Ontario, so went to school at McMaster for my undergrad, where I did a degree in physics. And then I'd actually moved to Halifax, where we are now, to do my master's degree. So I was co-supervised between biomedical engineering and physics here, working on a project where we were characterizing this new way of forming protein fibers. So there was a technology about taking proteins that naturally occur in nature. So the main one we worked on was collagen, which is the most abundant protein in the human body, and it plays a key role in the structure of essentially all of our tissues and organs. But the challenge exists in which in the body, collagen exists as a fiber, but you can't extract that fiber. All you can do is extract the molecules. So there's a need to take those molecules and stitch them back to a fiber in order to enable the function that these fibers serve in the body. So I was working on a technology that had the potential to do that. And during my master's, my supervisors and I really focused on characterizing how that technology worked, understood it well, and were able to develop it in a way that we could get the level of control and throughput we needed to start a company around it. And from that technology coming out of Dalhousie University, we started 3D BioFibR in June of 2020. And I've since transitioned into this role of developing the tech towards the identified business opportunities, but also the opposite of that, understanding developments in the technology and seeing how that drives new business initiatives. So that's sort of the background that I have as a physicist and how I came to be at 3D BioFibR.
And in Halifax, how is Halifax? I mean, great resources at Dalhousie, but Halifax, Nova Scotia, really amazing place for new materials development as well.
Absolutely. So I've been here for almost 5 years now, and it's a great place, as you mentioned. I think as a startup company here, it's been great for us because there's a lot of universities in the area. There's 3 in Halifax alone. So there's a lot of academic resources to leverage, but there's also a lot of government support in this area by being able to leverage resources through things like ACOA and IRAP. We've really been able to develop the business quite quickly and faster than we would have perhaps in other jurisdictions where that type of funding isn't available. And the ecosystem, especially in biotech, is growing really rapidly here. It seems to be exploding. And with that, it's been an exciting place to develop a company because this mass of organizations and the development of the ecosystem really starts to bring some talent and investment into the area. So it seems like that workforce and the investors who are educated in the space in Halifax is starting to grow, which makes it that much easier and that much more sort of fun to leverage those resources and engage those people who care about the work that you're doing.
No, it's great. It's a real concentration of assets all around, and talk about an ecosystem and advanced materials. It's the whole industry in Nova Scotia is really making a mark, not just in Canada, but really around the world. But tell me a little bit about some of these applications of the material, of the collagen material that you're developing. Why would manufacturers be interested?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to take it a step back, as I was saying earlier, so collagen fibers are the most abundant protein structure in the human body. If you take away the water from your body, about a third of what's left is a collagen fiber. So tissue engineering is this industry that's $18 billion plus that's focused on restoring or replacing whole tissues and organs in a body. And in order to do that, to make a tissue in a lab, the first thing you need is the scaffold in which your cells would live. And that scaffold is predominantly collagen fiber. As such, there was this unmet need of taking these collagen molecules and manufacturing them into fibers that were highly controlled, had commercial throughputs, and closely recapitulated the mechanical and chemical properties of natural collagen fibers. So that was the unmet need, and that our technology addresses. So as manufacturers, the reason that we're interested in it, so we are at the core a manufacturing company, The reason we're interested in it is because we're producing a product that industry needs and can't access at scale. Other technologies haven't been able to get the quality of the fiber you need to drive these types of tissue engineering applications where cells respond to them well. They're implantable because you're not using harmful synthetic materials, and they're consistent enough that you can handle them and create these high, robust scaffolds at the level of consistency you need to really drive an industry. So that's really where the interest comes from. It's a core ingredient that hasn't been accessible, that advanced manufacturing techniques like our own are making accessible now. And that's what's really driving the manufacturing impact, because it's a core ingredient. So when you think about an $18 billion global industry, supplying a core ingredient to that means lots of applications are being developed, whether that's to make muscle that's implantable, to make skin models that are implantable, to take technologies like 3D bioprinting, where you can bioprint a custom scaffold using a patient's own cells to implant back into that patient. This is really the type of stuff that's needed to drive those applications out of the sort of research laboratories they're in now to clinical applications, where we can really start to benefit from the potential of tissue engineering that we routinely hear about.
And are those biomedical applications, those are areas that 3D BioFibR is focusing on?
Yeah, those are the applications we're working on. So as a younger company, being about 2.5, almost 3 years old, our focus has really been on sort of a crawl, walk, run type strategy. So today we're focused primarily on unregulated markets. So markets that are research-based, of how can we model an organ better? How can we model a tissue better? Where people are trying to create, for example, a muscle model on a chip to understand how a drug might react. So really focused on those applications that aren't going into a human today, so we can start to validate the consistency and the throughput of our manufacturing technology. And then as we can hit that first level of targets, then we can look at a clinical indication and build onto that. So it's a way of addressing needs that our technology and manufacturing capability is capable of addressing today. And then as we continue to grow our capabilities, really driving towards more regulated markets.
Well, as you say, this is like a brand new area with brand new material. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered to date, and how have you overcome, or how are you overcoming them?
Yeah, that's a good question. A core challenge for us is, and I think always will be, that at our core we have a platform technology for manufacturing. And what that means is, while we're focused today on collagen, it has a lot of potential in other types of protein and biopolymer fibers. A big one that we've looked at in the past has been spider silk, which has long been posited as this revolutionary engineering material because it has extraordinary toughness, this ability to take and dissipate large amounts of energy. So in applications like ballistics or protection, you have this material that's very light, but also quite tough. So with the platform technology, one of the challenges becomes, where do you focus? So a big challenge for us has been, there's always seems like dozens, if not hundreds of applications we can be going after. So which is the right one to pick, and why is it the right one to pick, always seems to be a challenge. And I think it's, in a way, a good problem to have. It makes us continuously question what we're working on and if it's the right use of our time. And making sure that we're solving a real problem that needs to be solved and employing our technologies in the right way to get that impact out. Mm-hmm. So that has been a core challenge for us. And the result of that has been sort of focusing on those unregulated biomedical applications I was talking about. So that's been sort of the business strategy part. But in terms of the scale up part, I think a key challenge for us, and something that I think we're combating quite well, has been the talent retention and acquisition. I think this is something that NGen is corely focused on, but advanced manufacturing in Canada is relatively new compared to other countries and other established industries. So getting people who are well-versed in these and can come in and make an impact quickly has been challenging. That being said, we have a small team, but our team is what I would call heavy hitters. We have a really strong team that are driving this business forward every day. And standing that up is really exciting for us. But the reason it happens is because of support provided by folks like yourself, ACOA, IRAP, these people that are really investing in industry and workplace development, that are helping grow the people you need to stand up in industry, because it really doesn't happen without them.
So let me ask about workforce, and what are some of the core competencies that you're looking for, in your workforce in particular? And I don't want to just say skills, because I have a feeling that you're looking for people who have much broader capabilities than just simply the technical skills that are required.
Yeah, I'm sure this is similar to a lot of the advanced manufacturing groups you're talking about. When you're standing up a new manufacturing platform, there's sort of two sets of problems, which though are similar, require completely different perspectives. The first is the actual manufacturing part, thinking about your processes, how you scale them up, what the key inputs are, where your bottlenecks are, how you meet regulations and things like this. So that sort of process-based approach that requires a very specific set of expertise. There are people who spent their entire careers in education specializing in that. But also when you're developing something that no one's developed before, there's also the very core scientific side, the fundamental science of, does this material behave the right way? Is the chemistry correct? Are we characterizing the physics of our processes correctly? So this very fundamental science that needs to occur simultaneously with this very industry-driven process development. And those two core competencies, while they have some overlap, are quite distinct. So finding a team and building a team that has both the technical expertise you need to address these challenges in the science, while also looking at the engineering challenges of how do I get this to an industrial scale within the timelines and runways of a startup is a non-trivial problem. And that's really where it's been, to stand up a team that's interdisciplinary and diverse, and being able to have perspectives that are from a vast range of backgrounds, different career stages, different places we've learned, different scientific and engineering backgrounds, and bringing that together to think about the same problems. So that range of backgrounds is quite interesting. I mean, when we come up with a problem or identify a problem in our company, and you ask all of the different technical staff their opinion on it, everyone's opinion is a little different because of that perspective. So while navigating that and getting all of this perspective, you normally see a big picture quite quickly, which lets you identify what the key factors are and what your best path forward is. But that is really at the core of that issue.
Oh, that's a really good point. And I think your ability to draw from various perspectives is probably a large part, or large reason for that, is because you're a startup in a new area, and a very interesting one where people want to be a part of your work team there too. Now, you've talked about Dell, and clearly that's an important partner for you, and as a source of scientific and technical expertise, I'd imagine. How important are other partners here as well in what you're doing?
Extremely important. For us, our business model is based around partnerships. At our core, we want to be a manufacturing company. And like I was saying earlier, our materials have dozens of applications. So for example, if I pick an indication in 3D bioprinting, what I don't want to do is learn how to make a printer, how every printer works, how everybody makes an ink, what the customers of an ink want, where do they buy their materials. If I spend a lot of time doing that, that's less time me and my company are spending developing our material and getting good at our manufacturing processes. So instead, what we want to do is focus our resources on our manufacturing. It's where our IP is, it's where our team's expertise are, it's what we're good at. And then leveraging industrial partners who understand their end user and their problem well to come together and collaboratively develop a solution where we provide the material and the manufacturing expertise, and they have that end user product expertise. And together we can develop and offer a new product offering that is unique, solves a real challenge, and puts a product out in a way that our partner company would understand what their customer needs are and address them. And we understand how to supply the material in a way that lets them do what they need to do. So with our core business being focused on manufacturing, we are sort of B2B, business to business in our focus, meaning that we need other businesses that understand customers well to really get something out to a final end user.
And that partnership was pretty important in the project that we've supported with you, Karen. Do you want to say a few things specifically about that project and where it's
Yeah, absolutely. One of the core parts of in our experience, leveraging NGen funding against other non-dilutive funding sources we've been able to access has been NGen specifically is focused on the manufacturing scale up. A lot of other funding opportunities focus on product development, which for us works because there are a few products we're developing. But a big part of our business's technical challenges are around solving the key manufacturing process itself. How do we make this process better? And through the NGen project, we were able to identify a need in developing a new suture, for example, working with a partner and academic partners at the university to leverage their scientific expertise. And in this way, really enabled our focus to develop our manufacturing platform, understand key physical challenges, the scientific problems underlying those, and then addressing those to increase our scale and consistency to help our partners develop this new product. So through this project, a big focus of ours was expanding our lengths. So we're making fibers that need to be then handled in industrial textile equipment. So we needed about a 4-fold increase in the maximum length we could hit and about a 4-fold increase in the mechanics of those, so how tough they were. And with NGen support in 7 months, we were able to hit both of those. So it made a huge difference in our ability to deliver on that.
Well, it's really a remarkable project. And I like telling all of our project partners that we're a bit like a wet T-shirt. We like to stick with you through the through the project and then beyond. So, now as we're looking at commercializing some of your capabilities and moving forward, what next for 3D BioFibR and how can we help support your growth?
Yeah, I mean, even since our project has ended, which is about a year ago now, we've always been connected. Our project leads are still in touch with us regularly. As they find new opportunities that they think we might be interested in, they've been in touch. As they found new partners come into the ecosystem that they think we have synergies with, they've been in touch about new funding sources from NGen or otherwise. But another part has been we were recently raising and are currently raising an investment round. So reaching out to investors was something that NGen helped us support, finding people who they know invest in the materials space, which is a hard space to find investors in. NGen was quite helpful in also understanding that Canadian focus is another thing that really skims your pool of investors. So NGen was quite useful there as well. So with our business model of being investment driven right now, while also being focused on partnerships, it sort of overlaps quite well with what NGen is focused on building. So we've continuously leveraged that. And as we're looking forward to the new sort of funding being announced and what the funding avenues are going to be, because like I said, it's a partnership driven business that's going to continuously be focused on R&D and improving our capabilities. So I think there's going to be a lot of overlap and NGen will continue to sort of foster our partnerships in Canada and globally.
And we're going to continue to fund leading edge projects in advanced manufacturing, but also in circular manufacturing, in new materials, in AI applications, and so forth. So keep your eyes glued for funding announcements here. But if you have advice for other companies that are looking to work with NGen or looking to work with other partners, what would you say? What advice could you offer them?
Yeah, I think my first piece of advice would be that everyone that I've interacted with NGen has been very helpful. I think it's quite clear that everyone that I've interacted with at the organization is very bought into the vision of the organization. And they seem quite motivated to make sure that we succeed, and by doing so, that the project succeeds. So my first piece of advice would be, as soon as you identify a project, to reach out. So before you've even applied, to start reaching out, understanding what the right avenue is, how to best structure your project, what's eligible and what's not. Sometimes that tends to be complicated with funding sources. I don't think it is with NGen, but I think in every inherent source, there's some complications there to understanding that. But I would say to touch base immediately, because I found that the NGen team was very, very helpful. And then I think the next part of this is that the partnership database, so the lists of identified projects and partners and what they are looking for in partners, is a really good way to develop who those partners might be. Because sometimes, especially for organizations like ours, where you're in a bit of a niche space that is being developed, it's difficult to find partners with overlap. So being able to access those databases and seeing what open projects there are can also be very helpful. So my advice for folks who are looking to get engaged with NGen would just be to engage NGen sort of as early as you can and as often as you can.
That is good advice, and of course, as you mentioned too, we're really focusing on the development, the scale up of the manufacturing processes themselves. So a bit of a unique niche for NGen funding, but one that's really important for new technology companies looking to scale up their production and looking at becoming full-fledged manufacturers too. So one more question, Karen, this goes back to some skills requirements, but I can tell you as have been focusing on attracting more young people, more young Canadians into good careers in advanced manufacturing. One of the things that we've done is ask them, if you were going to create a career that was really meaningful in the future, what would it be? And particularly in manufacturing, which is about making stuff to solve some of the big challenges that we face around the globe. And I can't tell you the number of responses that we got talking about 3D printing human tissue here. So I know that what you're doing is extremely attractive for young people, but now talking to young Canadians that are looking at developing a career like you did as they go through school and getting involved in some of the great stuff that you're doing. What pieces of advice do you have for young Canadians looking at possibly going into your field in advanced manufacturing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing to remember is that this industry needs you as much as you need it. It's really a space where we're only as good as the people working on what we're doing. So as folks are really interested in the space, care about it, and are coming out of school or training or another job with the right skill sets, whether that's an understanding of the biology or the chemistry or the process or mechanical engineering, everything's getting automated. So any software engineering is always helpful. If you have these skills and you're willing to apply them, just get out there, talk to organizations that you have overlap and interest in, and try to get involved. And I can almost guarantee that there are folks out there who are looking for someone with that skill set, whether it's right now or a month from now. We really are looking for motivated Canadians with the right technical background and a passion for developing this industry. As a young industry, we really need the people with the right skill set to build. And I think organizations sort of across the country are investing in that type of workplace development. So it's a great time to be entering the workforce here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for young people in Atlantic Canada too, there's great stuff going on right in your backyard. And take a look at 3D BioFibR as a great example of that as well.
Absolutely.
Karen, thank you very much. Look forward to continue working with you and to hear more about some of the great, not only the great products, but your growth as a manufacturing company. Good luck.
Thank you, Jayson. It's always a pleasure. And thank you to NGen for all their support.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.